Hello, hello, hello. Okay, live, looking live, look alive. It's 7:30, 7:23, Tuesday, approximately a month prior to the Feast of Tents. So the question is, what would persuade you to attend Feast of Tents to observe the king's command? And it's a requirement of all the men of Israel. People will say that, oh, well, I'm not an Israelite, so it doesn't matter. And I say, Yah has commanded that because of our rebellion, we're all enslaved. So everybody that's a debt slave, if you're in debt or if you're part of a big tax farm which is in debt, Jubilee is for all of us, and the Feast of Tents is directly connected to Jubilee, that every 7 years at the seventh feast, and the Feast of Tents is the seventh feast. So additionally, there is a curse that Yah commands upon those who refuse to attend the feast, and that is in Zechariah 4:18. Let me get talking a lot about debt cancellation. Okay. Okay, let's go King James. New American Standard is always best for me because, man, I hack it up. 17. We're starting. So it's titled, Yah will be king over all. And the Lord will be the king over all the earth. In that day, Yah will be the only one, and his name is the only one. All the land will be changed into the plain from Geba to Rimmon, south of Jerusalem, but Jerusalem will rise and remain on its site from Benjamin's gate as far as the place of the first gate to the corner gate, and from the tower of Hananel to the king's wine presses. People will live in it, and there will no longer be a curse, for Jerusalem will dwell in security. Jerusalem means city of peace, just to review. Now, this will be the plague with which the Lord will strike all of the people who have gone to war against Jerusalem. That's not the fake Jerusalem that we're talking about today, controlled by the Edomites. All who have gone to war against Jerusalem. Their flesh will rot while they stand on their feet. Their eyes will rot in their sockets. Their tongue will rot in their mouth. It will come in that day that a great panic from the Lord will fall on them, and they will seize one another's hand, and the hand of the one will be lifted against the hand of another. Judah will fight at Jerusalem, and the wealth of all surrounding nations will be gathered, gold, silver, and garments in great abundance. So also, like this plague, will be the plague on the horse, the mule, the camel, the donkey, and all the cattle that will be in those camps. Recollections of Egypt, right? The plagues, right? It's going to be the same thing. What has been done will be done. There's nothing new under the sun. So basically, the two witnesses of Revelation go have a showdown. And this is the other side of it. Right? So this is the global consequence of the activities of the two witnesses from Revelation. Verse 16. Then will come about that any of those who are left in all the nations that went against Jerusalem will end up from year to year to worship the king. So we go every year to observe the feasts. There's 7 feasts a year, and this is the last feast. And by the way, we're observing the true king, creator of the earth. So part of that is The borrowers are no longer servants to the moneylenders. We are no longer a bride who is whoring with Rothschild, Uncle Sam, the Federal Reserve, the IRS, the Dallas Cowboys, you name it, Esau, Edomites. We're no longer serving these false earthly authorities, Caesar, Nebuchadnezzar, whatever you want to call it, right? The government, whatever the what is it from the movie The Matrix? In The Matrix, they're called the revenue agents or something like that. I forget what they call them. The agents. I think they're called the agents. Well, that's what they are. All they are is merely an authority that represents a satanic, parasitic, tiny cabal that is harnessing the commercial energy of all human beings on earth. And boom, at the Feast of Tents, it's all canceled. We reset, Jubilee, bingo, let's do it. Okay, so Yah is giving his warning to those who don't want to observe the new king's coronation. Let me repeat. Okay, so we're in Zechariah 14:16 now. This is where it's going to get to the Feast of Booths and how it applies specifically. And, you know, this is all prophecy. So when I say it, it's not going to happen. You know what I mean? When I say it, it's not necessarily going to happen. Anything that I say, I try to do my best to keep word as bond kind of thing, but I have to have a swear jar. You know what I mean? Because I swear, and it's a thing that I'm challenged with. But I keep at it, and I try to influence others. When we're on the pool side, I bring it. Hey, swear jar, swear, like so. And then I check myself, like I'm the worst offender. So here we go. Zechariah 14:16. Then it will come about that any who are left of all the nations that went against Jerusalem will go up from year to year to worship the King, the Lord of hosts, and to celebrate the Feast of Booths. And it shall be that whichever of the families of the earth do not go to Jerusalem to worship the King, the Lord of hosts, there will be no rain on them. If the family of Egypt does not go up or enter, then no rain will fall on them. And it will be the plague with which the Lord smites the nations who do not go up to celebrate the Feast of Booths. This will be the punishment of Egypt and the punishment of all nations who do not go up and celebrate the Feast of Booths. Is Yah being clear enough here? In that day, there will be inscribed on the bells of the horses, holy to the Lord, and the cooking pots in the Lord's house will be like bowls after the altar. Every cooking pot in Jerusalem and in Judah will be holy to the Lord of hosts, and all who sacrifice will come and take of them and boil in them. And there will no longer be a Canaanite in the house of the Lord of hosts in that day, right? They're talking about Jerusalem is currently housed by Canaanites. Currently. So basically, this is an eviction order by the king creator of the wicked tenants, meaning like the Rothschilds, Uncle Sam, Esau. It's Scar who is sitting in the Lion King's place, right? We know this movie. It's Scar sitting in, and since a false authority has been sitting on the throne parasitically as a wicked tenant, Jesus has a parable explaining all of this simple stuff. This is all about monotheism or polytheism. That's all that's going on. The whole story is just about monotheism and polytheism, and you can't explain it except it comes out of the mouths of babes when they say that the emperor has no clothes. Right? We have to be intercessors and stop promoting this we the people secular humanistic lie. There's no secular in the garden. There's two options, period. There's obedience and rebellion, period. That's what's up. So I suggest attending oh man. I suggest attending the Feast of the Booths. Okay, all right, so I want to show a couple other images. I'm having Feast of Booths in Tampa. We observed it a couple years ago, and Henry Garman came, the great Henry Garman. He's the author of the book, Run with the Vision. And that recalls the verse, for lack of vision, my people perish, but he who keepeth the law, happy is he. Why is he happy? Debt cancellation, jubilation, jubilee. It's on the Liberty Bell. Proclaim liberty throughout the land and all of the inhabitants thereof. It shall be a jubilee to you. Liberty and jubilee are synonymous. Debt cancellation and jubilee is synonymous. It means the same thing. It means the coronation of a new king, right? So this is all history that has been lost and hidden from us, sadly, because the money lenders have been the winners. They've been the victors. And since they've been the victors, they haven't been telling us about all of the debt cancellation stuff, right? I'm trying to find a couple of other images. Bear with me. Okay, so I want to share an image of a couple of years ago. We observed Feasts of Tents in Breckenridge. And it's because it's a king's command. So I want to prove that, number one, that this is a king's command. So I can read that. 3 times a year, celebrate a feast. That's in Exodus 23:14, Exodus 34:27. Mind you, the biblical proof of anything that needs to be done as a rule, it needs to have 2 witnesses. You need to have 2 witnesses, for out of the mouth of 2 or 3 witnesses, a matter is proven. So to prove something scripturally that, what are we supposed to do, we believers? Are we supposed to observe Halloween? Are we supposed to, as believers, are we supposed to observe Halloween? Show me in the Bible, right? Prove me wrong, right? But I'm saying 3 times a year, we're supposed to do this. Feast of Tents is one of them. And Passover is one of them, and Pentecost. So Jesus was crucified, and he ordered the apostles to observe what? The Feast of Weeks, Sukkot, right? Hebrew, Sukkot. Or Shavuot, right? Because that's the recollection of a marriage between Yah and his people. So 3 times a year, celebrate a feast. So that's also in Leviticus 23:4. 3 times a year, all of your males are to appear before Yah. That's in Exodus 23:17, Exodus 34:23, Deuteronomy 16:16. The moral of this teaching is Jesus and the apostles observed the Sabbaths and the feasts before and after his resurrection. They were Hebrews. They were monotheistic Hebrews. They still are. And that's part of our identity, because Hebrew means to cross over from polytheism to monotheism. That's what was unique and has always been unique about being a Hebrew, because that's the rejection of mammon. It's the rejection of might makes right. It's the rejection of being ruled by idols. I mean, idols such as other men, idols such as the Federal Reserve note, the mark of the beast control over our life, the 666, found on the back of the one world currency international petrodollar, the usurer's mark of control of buying and selling, Okay, so we break all of that. That's the reason when we break our commitment to follow the marriage vow covenant with our Creator, it hurts us because our sin creates separation from Yah. We get kicked out of the garden, and that's all that's going on, right? It's the same story over and over again. Okay, I'm going to stop sharing, and I've got finally, I wanted to show you my promotional image, made videos leading up. So this was for the promotion of the Feast of Tents in the Kingdom of Breckenridge, Colorado. It is actually called that, the Kingdom of Breckenridge. It's on the police cars. That we are going to teach, and we did teach, but so we had an internationally known serpent crusher, dragon slayer, overcomer, Henry Garman, come all the way from Ecuador to teach about debt cancellation. And his book, Run with the Vision, his book is about the book of Habakkuk, the prophet Habakkuk, who has a prophecy of a coming debtors revolt, where the debtors bite back. They, you know what I mean? In the prophecy, in the very beginning in the garden, is that that Yah says that my people, the descendants of Eve, they will one day serpent crush. They will crush the serpent, right? This is, all of these stories are magnificent because these are the stories of victory. These are the stories of the good news. These are the stories of good defeating evil. These are the stories of us leaving captivity. These are the stories of debts being canceled. Excuse me. These are the stories of the cornerstone, right? The stone that the builder refused will always be the head cornerstone. The stone that the builder refused will always be the head cornerstone. You're a builder, baby. Here I am a stone. Don't you pick and refuse me, 'cause the things people refuse are the things they should choose. The things people refuse are the things they should choose. Do you hear me? Hear what I say. Stone that the builder refused, right? The cornerstone is the Torah. It's the Logos. It's Yah's morality, Yah's plan for economics, Yah's plans for marriage, Yah's plans for obeying feasts, Yah's plans for a family, for community, for brotherly love, Yah's plans for all of it. But because we've been ruled by the moneylenders, we've been kept in the dark about the connection between the Bible and economics. Specifically, this economic thing is a very, very big deal because, you know, think of the Cold War or World War II. They're fighting over economic systems, different systems of human farming, human resource management, right? So all they do is have, Babylon is just re-offering you varying systems of old and tried and failed economic systems of capitalism, of communism. They're all just fronts for the users. The users like, okay, let's sell them fascism again, right? That's what they're doing right now to the white right. Right, they're selling them fascism again, which is paganism and occult stuff, right? You know, and they try to bait you in with usury abolition, but Hitler never canceled debts and abolished usury. That was all marketing. He never did that. Just like they market Trump is fighting the bankers or Obama was fighting the bankers or whatever, that FDR was fighting the bankers, right? There's like a speech where the money changers have taken over the temple, right? You know how FDR talks? Everything sounds a little strange during that era, their voices. So we focus on, in our events, the Feast of Tents. So this was the promotion, and because I promised this is what we were going to teach, I went through and I made sure that we touched on each one of those things, that both Henry and I just kind of alternated between, like, start a usury-free currency. In Breckenridge, we had a usury-free local currency called Mountain Hours operating at that time. And Henry took other topics that he was more focused on, like, for instance, like debt forgiveness. And so we made a video of that. And by the way, we had two attendees. And we had like a discussion with them afterward and answered questions. And by the way, there's stuff that I couldn't do in Colorado that I can do here, because I have a lot more space in Tampa than I did in Colorado. And income, like I was broke in Colorado. It's not funny, man. Like I went all in on the activism thing and it went broke. So, okay, so we'll do some other things, but generally as a idea, we'll talk about debt forgiveness and how it specifically relates to the Feast of Tents, because that's a command. It's a command that every 7 years at the seventh feast, there is debt cancellation. We talk about defying acts of Caesar and how, the biggest names in the Bible were all public enemy number one. Tribal Israelite identity, baptism by fire, tribal identity, warrior. Baptism by fire, which is your baptism into your, think of Moses in the burning bush, right? Now he knows his purpose. What's his mission? Start a usury-free local currency, kingdom government, which is judges of tens, 50s, hundreds, and thousands, where you are being trained to be a biblical judge, something that we teach here at the School of the Prophets, and chant down Babylon kids music. Chant down Babylon kids music. So that's come we go chant down Babylon one more time. Come we go chant down Babylon one more time. Right? Or we've got Christians singing, let me see if I can pull that up. Serpent Crusher Anthem. Okay, bringing that up. Okay, let me see if that's on the screen. It is not. Okay, almost there. This is an easy one, thankfully. Okay. This is my son, Christian. I have two, Christian and Caleb, and they are warriors in training. And here we go. Daddy, what did you do in the Great War? Is if you look at the bottom, this is a famous image during World War I, where the synagogue of Satan was deceiving Christians to murder Christians in the bank operation called World War I, in order to establish the Edomite kingdom in Jerusalem, so that the synagogue of Satan would be ruling Jerusalem as it was in the time of Jesus's walk, in the form of Herod, Rothschild, Red Shield, Esau. Okay, red communism. Okay, so serpent crushers are coming to fix this problem. There's a problem. There's a war. What do? We teach a new generation of Israelite sons to be eager for Exodus and divorce Caesar, divorce Pharaoh. And this is what that song sounds like.
Daddy, what did you do in the Great War? Fight, did you stand, did you
Even the score? Crushed serpent's head to be seen no more.
Have you heard of the biblical serpent crusher prophecy? Sadly, most Christians have not.
Okay, that's a video that goes on. Please Google the serpent crusher prophecy. I misspelled it. I apologize. Richard Davis! How long have you been here? Just now, it looks like. Feast of Tents. Richard, have you, I'm sure you have. There's one other image I wanted to show that I have to include because it's an important part of the history of debt cancellation. So I need to share that before I get off topic and confused, as I am so prone to do. Richard Davis, we want to talk to him because he's a cool cat. Maybe you can come to Tampa for Feast of Tents. That would be cool. Okay, so debt cancellation. Let me pull that up. This is a book by Michael Hudson. It's a free PDF that you can Google. You can find it very easy. On my website, it's Jesus Hates Usury. Then there's a button for library, and just look down in the links for the free PDFs, and there's a bunch of them in there that are really good because it's other prophets who have explained how quickly the money power can be defeated. Serpent crushers of the past, like Ezra Pound, or Pastor Sheldon Emery, because it's quick. Like Babylon falls in an hour. Once you fix the money thing, debt's cancellation. It's quick. So the book is titled, a PDF, The Lost Tradition of Biblical Debt Cancellations. So, okay, I'm just going to read the beginning of this. The rich ruleth over the poor, and the borrower is slave to the lender. Proverbs 22:7. The borrower is slave to the lender. And that's a recollection from Deuteronomy 28:43, which is the curse of the moneylenders. If we don't obey, Yah empowers our enemies, the moneylenders, to enslave us. We're sold into bondage. And says, the alien among you shall rise higher and higher, and you will go down lower and lower. You will become the tail, he will become the head. They will lend money to you, you will not lend money to them. So the Bible is very clear. That's the money lenders that are the head. And as soon as you flip that, and that we become the money lenders, which is part of the blessing in Deuteronomy 28, then we are the head. Like when you go to the store and I take my sons and there's shopping carts with the steering wheel. Well, that's what they want to make really quick on. They want to do things on their own. They want to make their own decisions. They want to have agency. And what I'm saying right now is collectively, the believers do not have agency. We don't have control of our future because we don't control and lend money. And because of that, we are ruled by those who do, because we are the borrowers who are serving them. We're serving their agenda. We're serving their children. Their children are taught to issue money and monopolize money and occult practices such as false flag and advanced sheep herding, advanced human resource management of human farming collectives, right? How to deceive them with various types of clever lies like capitalism or communism or socialism or constitutionalism or humanism or whatever. So we cancel the debt. So reading down in the cover, it says, a drawing of the cuneiform transcript of debt cancellation, a Margi law by Enemetra, see page 18, ruler of Sumerian city-state of Lagash, the first known legal proclamation. The original is in the Louvre, cover designed by Lin Ho. So that's a non-biblical reference, but this was prior to it's another society, Sumeria, and they had debt cancellation. The author, so I'll just read an overview. Chart, Bronze Age Mesopotamian debt cancellations. Bronze Age setting for the biblical laws. 2, the 7th and 6th century debt crisis and the biblical response. All right, so 6th and 7th centuries, that is, during the time of Christendom, the church, the Pope, and the Holy Roman Empire-ish kind of stuff. So Christian perspectives in the modern age. Debt cancellation in Canaan, Israel, and Judah. Debt crisis in classical antiquity. Biblical passage dealing with the usury problem and debt forgiveness. So this is an extremely important topic because the money power rules, they are the head. So if you want to be wise as serpents, you learn how to beat these guys so that our children are not enslaved, because there's 7 billion of us. There is a tiny minority of them. And all we got to do is stop focusing on their nonstop psychodrama and focus on the good news, focus on the Jubilee and sing about it and play music about it and learn the guitar and get in touch with your artistic, creative side, tell stories around a campfire, right? That's what we're going to do here. And tents in Tampa. And okay, so Richard Davis, I'm not sure if you're still on. Looks like I've got one viewer. So I appreciate the one viewer. And this information is not popular. That is for certain. And I'm going to answer a call from Mommy. Hey, I'm doing a live video, and I just wanted to take your call to see if you needed anything urgent. Yeah, give me I'll wrap it up like 5 minutes. Good morning. Good morning, Nookabuggy. I was just playing your song. Daddy, what did you do in the Great War? Fight, did you stand? Did you even the score? All right, Buggy, I love you. I'll see you soon. Bye. All right, so we're not building pools today. The season's slowing up. And fortunately, I then will have some time and some money. And Yah wants it to happen. So we're going to do Feast of Tents. And, there's a lot more that I can do in Tampa because I have space. And we have, in Colorado, we didn't have any space. It was very, very tiny. So thank you, Yah, for you helping and giving guidance and planning and organization and the right attitude to continue your work, and that we can be your messengers in this time of tribulation and great confusion and war and rumors of war, so that we can teach your children and get your sheep into your fold, and that so that you can put your wings around them and protect the apple of your eye in this time of tribulation. And thank you for blessing our families with my family with abundance and just giving us a comfortable life, and that we're not in Yemen right now or Palestine or any of these other violent war theaters. And to whom much has been given, much is expected. So I hope to grow an audience for your message. So Feast of Tents, everybody, that is my sincere hope, that people will attend in mid-October, and we have other stuff we can do here, but like singing songs around the campfire, right? Henry Garman and I, we went walking around in downtown Breckenridge, and we sang a song, by the rivers of Babylon, where we sat down and where we wept when we remembered Zion. For the wicked carried us away captivity and required from us a song. How can we be singing of a song in a strange land? Right, so that's from the Old Testament. They're in captivity. They're in captivity, and they're lamenting that they're no longer in Zion, Jerusalem. The Jerusalem of obedience, of debt, the Jerusalem of the king of debt cancellation, the Jerusalem of usury abolition, the Jerusalem where Yah whipped the moneylenders. He threw the moneylenders, the wicked tenants, out of the temple. He canceled the debt. The serpent crusher proclaimed the good news of the Spirit of the Lord is upon me. He has anointed me. The Spirit of the Lord is upon me. He has anointed me to preach good news to the poor, to heal the brokenhearted, to proclaim liberty to captives, recovery of sight to the blind, to set at liberty those who are repressed, to proclaim the year of our Lord's favor. This is our Jubilee. Right? Work, work. Time to go to work, work. Put in some work, work. Share the good news, oh, work, work. Come on, people, now, work, work. So that's what's up. That's what's going to happen in Tampa. We'll be playing guitars, singing songs around the campfire, and they will be speaking in tongues. Work, work. Yahweh, Yahweh will be attending. Appear before Yahweh. Thanks for listening.